Hey YouTube, it's Cash. So this is part 4 and sadly the last part of my test equipment series. I hope you enjoyed the other ones. The first one was more of like an introduction. Second one was an explanation of what's going on over here. The third one was more of like an addition to different elements. This one I wanted to make special, so I want to be more like an innovation and do something that maybe nobody's ever done before. And I believe I have. If somebody has done this before in the comment below, let me know. I'd be really curious to check that out. So what I'm doing is basically I am going to use my 4-track Tascam cassette recorder to sequence and clock my test equipment setup. Now you can't do that directly. It will make noise, and you'll hear a signal, but it's not really clocking or sequencing anything. So I had to try and figure out what I could use in between to kind of make that work. I tried a couple different things. I wanted to find something that was going to be inexpensive, accessible, relatively safe, and easy to use. And what I came up with was a boombox with detachable speakers. It's also kind of nostalgic, which I like that sort of thing, and I can use this for other things too because it has a cassette player. But anyhow, so why use something like this? Well, the detachable speakers are important because they have this output for the speakers on the back. That's about 1.5 volts-ish, which is just enough to kind of make this stuff work. So you need 2 of these because you have 2 channels, left-right channel, to accept the outputs from the 4-track into here, and then this into the equipment. Now, big disclaimer is that I don't know what the long-term effects of using something like this with this. I don't know if it'll work with everything or break stuff. So if you ever try something like this, be careful because you could break something. There's a lot more in this signal that's coming out of here that typically would come out of a clock output in one of these things. So it may not agree with stuff. So with that being said, I may build something like this that actually would, that will accept more inputs and outputs, because I have a 8-track version of this I would like to use or experiment with this sort of thing. And I think having 4 of these might be a little weird, but I've done crazier things, so maybe not. One other thing that I did to kind of drive the point home here is I abandoned or replaced my sequencers that I was using. So I got rid of the serial data generator and the word generator. If you want to know more about those, check out the previous videos. I explain those. And I replaced it with this HP pulse generator and this Tektronix power supply module unit. You can interchange these modules and put different types of generators in them. This is mostly just function generators, which makes more sense why I have so many function generators with my larger setup, because you can actually like sequence like chords and harmonies and stuff, which is kind of cool. I wanted to use it because I didn't know how much I was going to need. This experiment thing I started, I didn't know where I was going with it. I ended up using this very little, but there it is. And this is technically a sequencer, but again, just to make the point, it doesn't work on its own. And I explained this in the previous video. This is a data sequence generator. I use it more of like a filter because it doesn't make any sound on its own unless it has a clock. So just to make sure people understand that this is basically doing all the work here. The long part of this process was trying to figure out what to record, what to play back, and what kind of language I wanted to use. So the obvious thing was to record some clock outputs, but trying to figure out like how that changes or why that changes the tones and notes at times. And so I also experimented with some drum machine stuff to try to simulate some square waves. And there was a lot of like recording, playing back, to try to figure out what I like or to use or what sounds interesting to me. And I came up with a selection of stuff, so then it was a matter of like sampling that and then coming up with an arrangement and then breaking it down to 4 tracks and then taking those 4 tracks and then recording them directly into the 4-track tape recorder. After doing all of this, I probably could have done. Now I know I could do a better job. So this would be more of an experimental demonstration than a performance. But I'm sure if you like this stuff, you'll enjoy it anyway. Why use the 4-track too? Why not just come directly out of the studio? Well, I mean, that's portable, number one. Number two, it's, analog tape is seamless, as far as, so you can, if I wanted to create loops and stuff in the future, I could do that. Obviously this is not a tape loop though. This is just a full performance all recorded in at once. And the other thing you can do is which is the biggest thing, which is change the speed of the tape. So you can do that with a switch, or there's a manual dial control, which I ended up playing around with that at the end of the performance. I wanted to create some other textures and other things as well with this. So there's I use various pedals, which I'll list below. I'm not going to get into that right now. But not a whole lot going on, because everything's already been done in there. Aside from changing some tape speeds. So I wanted to create some other elements too. So I did the a dictaphone. I recorded an audiobook that I found in the Creative Commons, and I'll be playing with that and this Hungry Robot pedal most of the time. Probably put some other visuals in this video as well, obviously, to kind of make it more visually interesting, because I'm not doing a whole lot, to be honest with you. I hope you enjoyed this series. I appreciate the support and people, checking out the stuff. My next series that I'll be doing will be more on recording. I think the first one will be more on some experimental mic stuff that I hope you like. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe, share, and hit the bell button. That sort of stuff. And I appreciate it all. And thanks so much for watching, and enjoy.
Should be nothing but a wish fulfillment surely seemed strange to us all, and that not alone because of the contradictions offered by the anxiety dream. After learning from the first analytical explanations that the dream conceals sense and psychic validity, we could hardly expect so simple a determination of this sense. Concise definition of Aristotle, the dream is a continuation of thinking in sleep, insofar as one sleeps. Considering that during the day our thoughts produce such a diversity of psychic acts, judgments, conclusions, contradictions, expectations, intentions, etc., why should our sleeping thoughts be forced to confine themselves to the production of wishes? Are there not, on the contrary, many dreams that present a different psychic act in dream form? For example, a solicitude, and is not the very transparent father's dream mentioned above of such a nature? Solicitous conclusion that a candle has been upset and may have set fire to the corpse. He transforms this conclusion into a dream by by investing it with a sensible situation enacted in the present tense. What part is played in this dream by the wish fulfillment, and which are we to suspect? The predominance of the thought continued from the waking state, or of the thought incited by the new sensory impression? All these considerations are just and force us to enter more deeply into the part played by the wish fulfillment.
This brings up the question whether wishes arising from these different sources